of war. So we're talking about saving money, and I'm all for that. Let's take a look at what it costs to have an actual war. 37% of our GDP in World War II spent on defense, 13% in Korea, 9% in Vietnam. The Reagan buildup, about 6% of GDP. It worked. They didn't want to mess with us because they knew how strong we were going to be. And an equal partner, much less costly, is the soft power side. I think, I don't care what you call it or how you reorganize, but the basic functions that soft power provides are extremely important. You get a lot of friends for not much money. And we're being outmaneuvered, as you well know, in country after country after country by the People's Republic of China, who are effectively playing in ways that are more effective than we are. So if you can figure out how to way to reorganize it and call it whatever you will, that role is extremely important. How are foreigners looking at us right now? I think they think we're losing interest. The previous administration didn't have a single budget for defense that even kept up with inflation. And unfortunately, because of the continuing resolution this year, it looks like more of the same. So it strikes me, no matter how well the tariffs, for example, work out, that the perception at the beginning of this administration is that we want to fight with our allies and figure out some way to make an agreement with our enemies, which brings me to Ukraine. And I think the America that I believe in, and most of us believe in, would find no equivalence between the Russians and the Ukrainians. And so I'm hoping as this administration moves forward, it doesn't end up not facing the actual enemies we have now, North Korea, China, Russia, Iran's proxies, by working with our allies to stand up to them. Just to take a specific example of how soft power makes a difference, look at a country like Burma that you've had an interest in, and I have too over the years. Horrible place run by despicable people. Lots of storms and problems of one kind or another. The Chinese are in there just operating effectively. And we, because of not honoring contracts and some of the other things that we were doing to try to be helpful, just completely getting outmaneuvered. So having had to endure that, I'd be interested in your observations about what you think about soft power and how important it is to this country's future.
Sure. I mean, first of all, I think soft power has the Department of State ultimately is a soft power entity. I mean, it's the Department of Peace. The Department of War is the Department of Defense. Our job is to try to prevent them. And so I do think that the model you've outlined, especially during the Cold War, was quite useful, because during that time, that model served to keep societies from collapsing and becoming susceptible to Marxist regimes taking them over. That was the biggest fear during the Cold War, was that governments with high levels of poverty would be attracted to a Marxist revolution that would overthrow an allied government and create another satellite state for the Soviet Union. We live in a different world today. The threats look different. In some cases, fragility is still a factor, but it is largely a factor that will lead to either a costly humanitarian crisis, and in some cases, operating in safe haven spaces for radical jihadists to threaten us here at home. So the concept remains true. How it's applied is what has changed, because I think the context, and in that context, no matter how much even with these reductions that are proposed before you, we would still be the single largest foreign aid donor on the planet by multiples. I mean, no one even comes close. I think Germany was second, if I recall the last time I checked, and it's not even close. That remains the case. What we have to do now is apply that soft power to the places where it matters most to our national interests and to the programs that can make the biggest difference, the biggest impact in furthering our national interests. I think it's possible to both be a humanitarian and at the same time further the national interests. And there are cases where perhaps there isn't going to be a national interest argument. We just do it because we don't want people to die, or we want to help alleviate suffering. The case of Burma is an example. It wasn't just a reduction in aid because we had teams on the ground. It was actual local authorities that prevented us from getting involved or allowing certain aid to be distributed because they were in the middle of their own conflicts internally in the midst of it. So some of these environments where we're trying to deliver aid are quite challenging. Even if we provide the money, we struggle to get it to the recipients because